if you believe the CIA, which we go back and forth on, right?
Not at
We
all.
didn't like the CIA before. Now, do we like the CIA? Do we like the new?
Well, John Ratcliffe I absolutely love him. He's a stud. I don't know. I mean, we're gonna find. But you still are in charge of a shadow ass department of our government. They do shady shit. That's their job.
It is the principle, like everybody says, oh, you're hypocrites because you don't trust the CIA when they tell you something that's a lie, but you trust them when they tell you the truth. And how do you know? The bottom line, the CIA and intelligence, there's a principle of it's not what people know, it's when they learn it. So they do eventually have to tell the truth. But we knew that they were lying back in the day when they said it. No reason to believe it originated in China. And now they're saying what we all knew from the get-go. It's not saying, oh, they're telling us the truth now. It's, oh, they can't lie anymore.
Yep.
Well, and that's what came out this week. The CIA, this is from NBC News, came out January 25th. CIA shifts assessment on COVID origins, says lab leak likely caused the outbreak. So they have concluded that more than likely it came from the Wuhan Lab Institute of Virology, which just happened to be 8.2 miles away from the Wuhan wet market, where the bat and or pangolin that was eaten and consumed is where the natural origins belief began. Just like 10 miles apart. That's not that much.
Or you know, Fauci. This is just a crazy theory that I've heard. Maybe Fauci, because he knew he was going to get pardoned, did all this with China to get out a sitting president, make trillions of dollars, and it was all a setup because they all knew they're going to get away with it. That's why. Because the fact that we're still saying likely, like when who's
and
gonna have
the word leak?
Leak.
Let's think about that. If you're going to admit that it more than likely came from a lab, then, okay, you've lied once about the origins of the virus. Is it that far of a stretch to say that you're lying about a leak and it was intentional? Because at this point, everything about this has been a lie. Name me one truth. Can anybody here name me one truth about COVID-19, the pandemic, any type of forced medical procedures?
Zero.
Anything, distancing, anything that's been true.
Can I defend the CIA for a little bit?
Go.
All right.
Because you might.
Hold on, no. Answer the question.
Yeah.
Can anybody, before we go to back to the CIA, can anybody here actually name something that we were told by the mainstream media or our government with our tax dollars about the COVID-19 virus that turned out to be true?
Teacher, yeah, they said that the masks didn't work before they said that the masks worked and that you needed to wear them. So when they said the masks didn't work before they said they worked, that was true.
The first thing that they said and then went back on it because Fauci had to change.
Well, the first thing they said was it wasn't even the masks. Remember, it was 14 days to flatten the curve. And then that got extended to how many months? In some states, 14 months. So, Connor, you read the news. Anything that they told us about that virus, did any of it turn out to be true? Or has everything they said been a lie?
Pretty much. I mean, what Viva was saying, where they said the masks don't work for like the first 2 weeks and then switched. The only other thing I can think of is when they were like, no, don't avoid going to P.F. Chang's. That's not where the virus came from. I mean, that was kind of true because, as I said at the time, when was the last time you saw a Chinese person working at a P.F. Chang's? But other than that, everything else
But that was
has
a
been
social
disproven.
thing. That
Yes.
was like, don't fault Asians, every Asian in the world.
What is P.F. Chang for a Canadian?
It's a Chinese food place.
Oh, I gotta
like
take you.
fast
You're
food.
gonna hate it.
You're gonna hate
But
it. It's all
AOC
sodium.
was like, don't be racist. It's okay to go to P.F. Chang's. And it's like, yeah,
my
it was,
favorite
but
place.
nobody thought it wasn't.
Humberto, can you name a single thing? I don't know what country or what continent you were even on during this.
I
but
can't disclose, but I can't name a single true thing.
Okay. Now back to your point about the CIA. Go ahead. That was just to prove my
Because
point.
when he
Thank
made
you.
a point, is like highly likely or very likely in intelligence. Like those words mean a lot, and certainty levels, like there is very precise. All right, so you go from certain that you're 100% sure, then it goes like almost certain, highly likely, and it has a weight to it because it impacts decision making. So like very likely, it means like almost certain.
Yeah, because they can't say 100%, but
They can't say certain on this.
No, but the whole reason why they even gave it that qualifier was so that they could justify the lie. They knew damn well it originated in the lab. They know damn well.
Oh, we'll get to that, too,
Whether or not it was
because-
deliberately leaked. They know that it was gain of function. What's the Baron Cleve part of the virus that smarter minds said, yeah, this is not a natural development in the virus. I'll get the exact term for it. They knew that it resulted from gain of function. Then they finally had to admit they engaged in gain of function. Whether it's deliberate or accidental, this is what happens when you have people working on viruses and someone gets sick, and they go and they get 10 people sick, and then you have a
Well, you remember
so-called
in like
pandemic.
2021, 2022, I can't remember exactly what year it was. people found Department of Defense filings showing requests from the Wuhan Institute of Virology to begin experimenting with bat-borne coronaviruses and potential weaponization applications, as well as the possibility of spread from bats to humans. They found the filings like, hey, can we conduct experiments on this? And they were basically rubber stamped approved because they were allowed to do that. Think back to when Jon Stewart was on with Conan.
Colbert.
Yeah, or Colbert, yes. Sorry. I'm getting my irrelevant talk show hosts confused.
Hey, watch it. Conan was good. I
Conan was
liked
good.
Conan. He was the only one that didn't
for
go
a
political.
while. But he makes the comparison. Imagine if there's been an outbreak of chocolatey goodness in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Who's to blame for that? Oh, it's because a bat flew into a pot of soup. It's like, or it's the Hershey factory.
No, yeah.
It was the furin cleavage site, which was one of the initial evidence as to this being the result of gain of function. One of the focal points is the presence of a furin cleavage site in SARS-CoV-2, which is not common in related coronaviruses. This site enhances the virus's ability to infect human cells. Some researchers have argued that the feature might indicate human intervention since it's not typically found in this group of viruses. They knew that from the beginning. Intelligence knew from the beginning they could get away with lying from the beginning. Oh, we didn't say it was Russian disinformation. We said it bore the hallmarks of Russian information campaign. They play with words to get away with the lie until they can no longer get away with the lie. Now people are too tired to get pissed off to grab the pitchforks.
And that's how they do
I'm
it.
not. I'm still kind of mad. I every time I get cooled off about these things, then they acknowledge that they lied about something, and then it gets me all angry again. And then you're right. 3 weeks later, I'm like, here bitching about the next thing that they lied to me about, that I forgot about, then they told me the truth about, and then I got angry.
Well, you have
about
to
it again.
remember what you lost because so many people just moved on. Like, my case, I didn't lose much. I mean, I had to work remotely, which was irritating, but I never missed a day of work. I never missed a paycheck. I didn't lose any family members. It was just inconvenient. But these are the same people who made your family members die alone in a hospital and then forced you to social distance at the funeral. These are the people who kept your kids home from school for 2 straight years and then allowed and encouraged teachers to go on strike until schools implemented stricter social distancing guidelines. These people tried to take everything from everyone in this country. And the fact that so many people just move on, it's like, oh, forget about it.
We did the best we could.
We did the best we could.
No,
No, you did not.
I believe I'll be bitter until my dying days, and I didn't lose financially. I was out of work lawyer at the time making car vlogs, but they forced our kids to wear face masks, and I don't know what long-term effects. I didn't get our kids the shot at all, and thank God. My grandmother died alone out of loneliness. I couldn't attend my uncle's funeral because I got a Zoom for a fucking funeral. Like, funerals are kind of boring enough even when you're there. But we missed out on life. They stole years of development from my children. And we did the best we could. We had our underground play dates where we literally had to sneak out of the house to make sure no cops were there because they were issuing tickets for violating lockdown curfew in Quebec. So I'll be pissed off for the rest of my life. And there will be some sort of comeuppance justice if there's any form of karma on this earth.
And I will have my vengeance
I'm
in this
gonna wait.
life or the next.
Because I want you to get to your story.
Yeah, sure.
Because go, please.
Well, and all right, so let's go to John Ratcliffe. This is just John Ratcliffe explaining that the CIA, this is the first week that he's in office. He comes out, I believe this was Saturday or Sunday of over the weekend, where he comes out and makes the announcement that the CIA has changed their position on the origins of the virus.
Huh.
Right out of the gate, come out with this new intelligence that the CIA has concluded the deadly COVID-19 pandemic arose likely from the leak out of a laboratory in Wuhan, as our audience expected. Tell me the significance of the CIA now confirming this, sir.
Well, it's one of the things President Trump and I talked about. Part of what we have to do is we have to restore Americans' trust in our own institutions, like the intelligence community and law enforcement, and that includes the CIA. And, one of the things that the president stressed, the purpose of the CIA is to protect Americans, to keep us safe from foreign threats and foreign adversaries. But we also need to be truthful with Americans. And he has stressed to me and others that, these aren't mutually exclusive missions. We can do both. And so in the case of the CIA, which is the best foreign intelligence service in the world, after 5 years to not have a public assessment, to be honest with the American people about where the likely source of a pandemic that that killed millions around the world, including 1 million Americans, and really impacted all 345 million Americans in some way. People lost jobs, they lost houses, they lost their health, they lost their businesses, all of that. And so I had the opportunity on my first day to make public an assessment that actually took place in the Biden administration. So it can't be accused of being political, and it does assess. The CIA has assessed that the most likely cause of this pandemic that has wrought so much devastation around the world was because of a lab-related incident in Wuhan. And
My question: what was the new information? The new evidence? It's 4 or 5 years later.
So he's been out there saying this is the case for years.
Yep.
I really dug in to Ratcliffe's background on COVID, and we'll get to it in just a second, but there were people within the CIA that were changing their story of where they believed the origins of COVID came from based on getting paid by the government. And we'll get to that. It's crazy. But for China's part, they say it was extremely unlikely. Of course, you're not going to unleash the world's worst, I guess not worst virus, but a virus that caused the worst lockdowns in our lifetime and then accept fault for it. The next clip right here is Trump revokes security protection for Fauci. Thank God.
Good.
Let's play a clip of this because this is Trump people going, oh, well, aren't you worried that if something were to happen to Anthony Fauci, you'll be held responsible? No, if anything were to happen to Anthony Fauci, and I'm not encouraging it by any means, but if anything were to happen to Anthony Fauci, it's because of Anthony Fauci.
Yes.
He is the reason that he is in the position he is in. Not Humberto, not Viva Fry, not Vincent Oshana, maybe Connor, but it's definitely Anthony Fauci's fault that he is in the position that he is in because he was up to shady shit. You can't be up to shady shit, then get caught on your shady shit and be like, oh, I'm not up to shady shit.
And just to clarify, I would never, ever advocate for violence of any kind against Anthony Fauci. If he spent the remainder of his days feeling uncomfortable in public places, that's on him.
Or in a Russian gulag, which I believe could happen if Putin and we extradite him. That'd be crazy. But here's Trump going, I won't accept any responsibility.
But you can't have a security detail for the rest of your life because you work for government. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Would you feel partially responsible if something were to happen to, say, Dr. Fauci
No.
or John Bolton?
No. They all made a lot of money. They can hire their own security, too. All the people you're talking about, they can go out. I can give them some good numbers of very good security people. They can hire their own security. They all made a lot of money. Fauci made a lot of money.
Highest paid federal employee in
They all
American
did.
government.
So if they
And his
felt
his
that
wife
strongly,
is a gem, too.
I think
Years.
that certainly I would not take responsibility.
Can I ask you a question? Wait a minute. So he was the highest paid federal employee.
Yep.
He failed at his job. The pandemic, the virus spread across the country. It raged for 2 years and we had lockdowns. How do you keep your job being the highest paid government employee if you failed at your job?
The same
he's
way
been
they
failing-
justified how you can get vaccinated and still get the virus because they said, but it could have been so much worse. Like because of Fauci here, think of how much worse it could have been if Fauci wasn't there. Of course, that's unfalsifiable. How do you say, oh, COVID would have been so much worse if you hadn't gotten the shot? The pandemic would have been so much worse if Fauci hadn't been in office. There's no way to prove that. So they just say like, oh, we made it better. Trust
Fauci
us.
has been failing at his job since the AIDS epidemic. And so it's nothing new that you just fail up in government. It's just that nobody remembers.
Gavin Newsom keeps been failing since San Francisco. They fail up.
They fail up.
Kamala's been failing since she was San Francisco or San Diego. She was San Francisco DA. Then,
well, she failed up by going down.
Not bad. Stolen. But with Fauci, it's a much deeper problem. The mother effer lied under oath. He lied about everything, masks, a natural immunity.
Social distancing.
I just made
that up.
He lied about the gain of function research under oath, and it's known now.
Yeah.
And he wants protection because he thinks people might be angry that he lied to them and killed their grandmothers alone, gave their kids myocarditis. He said the vaccine was safe and effective. Won't get into whether or not
What
it
do you
is.
mean? The death rate, the all-cause mortality for the younger people is over 40%. It's unbelievable. Strokes, myocarditis, heart problems, heart attacks. Guys, it's not a secret. And the fact that nobody gives a shit, the only comfort I get, Rob, and I'm dead serious, he's gonna have good security. Trust me, he's not stupid, that freaking rat. The only comfort I feel is that every single time he leaves his house, he's gonna be Because he knows. You sign a deal with the devil, you're a freaking demon, and that's because I don't want nothing bad to happen to him. He's gonna have to answer to God when he freaking dies, and it's gonna happen soon because he's an old prick.
He's not gonna be happy going to baseball games anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That's the only thing I feel is that he has to feel something, bro, because people's lives are ruined, bro. I know everybody here has a story or multiple stories. You just gave 2. Shit, one of our friends, very close friends here, she's vaccine injured. And I'm tired of that long COVID bullshit. No, you got vaccine injured. That's what the hell it is. Go ahead, Rob, please.
So I have 3 more things real quick to show you. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but 2023, Jesse Waters reports that the CIA ended up, there was a whistleblower for the CIA who claims that the CIA tried to pay off analysts to bury findings that COVID, in fact, came from a lab leak. So the government was well aware of this, like you said, Viva, but in fact, they actually went to extraordinary means, including bribing analysts to reverse their stance and say that it came from an animal, and 6 out of the 7 analysts were bribed into changing their findings and not saying it came from a lab, but it came from a natural bat in a wet market. Here's Jesse Waters real quick.
Fox News alert. New evidence has just surfaced tying Dr. Anthony Fauci to the CIA's cover-up of COVID-19. Last week, a whistleblower claimed the CIA was paying people off to bury the lab leak theory. And now this, from the House committee investigating the pandemic origins. Quote, Dr. Fauci was escorted into Central Intelligence Agency, CIA headquarters, without a record of entry and participated in the analysis to influence the agency's review. The committee is now ordering HHS to hand over documents detailing all of Fauci's movements during the pandemic in and out of CIA-controlled sites.
And if we could just show the article next to this real quick is a report from the New York Post. My eyes are really bad. What's that say? September 14th?
September
12th.
2023.
2023. CIA tried to pay off analysts to bury findings that it shouldn't tried to. They did. According to the House panel chairman in a report regarding this incident, according to the whistleblower that worked at the CIA, at the end of its review, 6 of the 7 members of the team believed the intelligence and science were sufficient to make a low-confidence assessment that COVID-19 originated from a laboratory in Wuhan. The 7th member of the team, who happened to be the most senior, was the lone officer to believe COVID-19 originated through zoonosis. The 7th member of the team, who had happened to be the most, oh, sorry, I copied that twice. But then they were paid off 6 of the 7 to reverse their idea and say that it came from the wet market.
It's straight out of The Simpsons, like briefcase of cash. Are you sure about that? Oh, now that you mention it, here's your permit.
We can skip the Cash Patel video. We're good on that, but thank you. That's my segment.
No, and Fauci also involved in covering up and demonizing at the time with not Drazak, but there was someone else.
Peter Daszak?
Peter Daszak. But they were involved in demonizing and astroturfing a defamation campaign, basically, against the scientists who were saying that this looks like a lab leak of gain-of-function research.
Again, if this was a movie, think about a movie. You're watching a movie, all right? And the sitting president is a threat to the establishment, the deep state, okay? This is a random country somewhere, all right? He's not only a threat to them, he's a threat to China, which he's giving all the, tariffs and all the everything. So, Madhu, and the deep state, they all love China, as we could tell. Xi Jinping flies to freaking San Francisco and they worship him. All the American flags clean up the city. So you know the power, you know the influence. So you know what they say? Hey, ready? Imagine this meeting in this movie, all right? We're going to leak this fucking lab, this virus from a lab that we own, okay? Fauci, you're going to go up there, say all this stuff. I promise you, because Biden's going to be the president, because this is how it's going to work, in this fake movie, you're going to get pardoned. I'm sorry, somebody got to take the freaking fall. It's going to be you. You know what he says? I'm down. So think about it. It happens. Trump is gone. Millions dead. This helps the agenda for overpopulation. Trillions of dollars made for big pharma because they're Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, all these people. Mind you, this is a movie. And then 0 accountability. You're going to get pardoned. And then, like you said, the story moves on, Dave, and nobody gives a shit.
Well, another element of this, by the way, I don't even think they were worried about a pardon at first because I think they thought they would just come out as the heroes in all of this. But also understand, like, when China says we had nothing to do with it, no, this is
shit.
It could very well be American intelligence using Chinese assets. Fauci knows what they're doing at that lab.
Yeah, of course he does.
He controls it through whatever the third party
Eco Alliance.
Alliance. It could be that Xi Jinping didn't know about this leak or didn't know what was going on there, and that they used their assets to get Trump out of office because this was the way that they could fortify the elections. It was the only way they could win that election.
Yep,
and
the
that's
mail-in
what
voting,
happens.
exactly. Mail-in vote. But look at it. Look at all the things you won. Mail-in voting. The president is gone. Billions of trillions of dollars, dude. And now all the voting laws change. It's like, dude, this is a freaking jackpot. And all you have to do is have one person grab that shit, come out, fake the story, woo, and then the world gets shut down.
But you can't
China
forget,
wins.
Vinny, the mass social control, the vaccine passports, the way they had people calling the police to rat on their neighbors for having unregistered, unlicensed Thanksgiving dinners.
Yeah.
Well, Trump was the least of their problems. It was the full-on, you will be on this list, you will show your documentation of vaccination, or you cannot go to the grocery store. Well, and they did that across the board.
Do you remember they shut down the beaches, and then the Coast Guard went out in California and arrested a stand-up paddleboarder who was out in the water
By
hundreds
himself.
of yards away from any other human being.
Yeah.
Now, I hate to be that guy, but you guys know I have to do it. All
Go,
right?
be that guy.
All right. This
You're gonna defend
discussion.
Fauci.
No, this discussion was for informational purposes only and did not constitute medical advice. Views expressed were those of the host and the guest, not necessarily validation. For accurate COVID-19 information, viewers are encouraged to consult official sources like the CDC, WHO, or their healthcare provider. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
I love
Okay.
that you're doing it with the glasses on.
Yeah, yeah.
So if we ever get pulled into YouTube court, we can go, look,
Yeah,
this is
we
our
say, hey,
attorney.
this doesn't.
Come on, YouTube overlords. We had our lispiest Hispanic read the
Yeah,
legal
that
notice.
was my movie pitch. That was the movie. All
Well,
the stuff that I said.
by the way, speaking of COVID, because this, my story is COVID 2.0. You remember back in the early days of COVID, you saw videos of people collapsing and dropping dead in
Yes,
the streets.
and then they got thrown into. I remember watching this because the first time I became aware of COVID-19 was December 31st of 2019. I'm sitting at home in my house in Cape Coral, Florida. I'm on Reddit, the conspiracy forum for Reddit, and I'm scrolling through and I'm seeing all these people get thrown in body bags and then them grabbing those body bags and throwing them in ice trucks in China. That virus is not the same thing that you had on Friday of last week when we were all in this room doing a podcast together, and then we tongue kissed afterwards, and I'm fine.
And I'm fine. Yeah, and I feel good.
Wait, you didn't have COVID.
No, well, I don't know
first
what
I'm joking. I couldn't even care less if you did.
He was sick with something,
but
and that's the point.
It was the brainwashing and the social control that they were doing, like the techniques, the propaganda techniques from day one, are not to be forgotten because we're sort of seeing it again in what is now turning out to be the COVID 2.0 H5N1 avian flu.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.